Hey, welcome to Nucleus. I'm Tripwire. Today we're cracking open one of the wildest corporate comebacks in modern business. Microsoft, going from tar pit dinosaur to a company worth over $3 trillion. We're talking about Satya Nadella, what he actually changed, how he changed it, and whether the empathy-driven leader who rewired a culture can survive the brutal math of the AI era. Let's get into it. Picture this. A company worth roughly $300 billion, seen by pretty much everyone as a dinosaur slowly sinking into the tar pit. Missed mobile, missed search, famous for a product people kept because they had to, not because they wanted to. Fast forward to August of 2026, and that same company is worth about $3.46 trillion. Stock sitting around $4.65 a share. That's not a typo. That's Microsoft under Satya Nadella. And right now, he's making the single biggest bet of his career. Microsoft's pouring nearly $145 billion into AI. Its AI business just blew past a $37 billion annual run rate, up 123% year over year. And in April 2026, Microsoft renegotiated its whole relationship with OpenAI, giving up exclusivity but keeping royalty-free access to the IP all the way through 2032, plus a reported 27% equity stake. Nadella's exact words? He fully plans to exploit it. So who is this guy who turned a punchline into a powerhouse? Satya Nadella grew up in Hyderabad, India. Son of a civil servant father and a Sanskrit scholar mom. Obsessed with cricket, which he says taught him teamwork and leadership before he ever set foot in a boardroom. Electrical engineering degree, then a master's in computer science in the States, then an MBA from Chicago Booth. And here's the part that tells you everything. You know when he did that MBA? While working full-time at Microsoft, commuting on weekends. This is a learn-it-all in the most literal sense. He joined Microsoft in 1992, during the good years. And for the next 2 decades, he didn't chase the spotlight. He quietly ran the businesses nobody thought were sexy. Online services, ding. And then the big one, the server and tools business, which he turned into the foundation for Azure, Microsoft's cloud platform, the thing that would eventually become the second largest cloud on the planet. So when Steve Ballmer stepped down in 2014, Nadella was the natural pick. Third CEO in company history, after Bill Gates and Ballmer. And he walked into an absolute mess. Here's the thing about the Microsoft he inherited. It was profitable, sure, but it was at war with itself. There was this brutal internal system called stack ranking, where employees were graded on a curve against each other. Nothing builds a warm, collaborative culture like knowing your coworker's success mathematically requires your failure, right? Teams sabotaged each other. Talented people burned energy fighting internally instead of building anything. And Nadella looked at all that and made a decision most leaders never make. He decided the problem wasn't the products. It was how people thought. He borrowed a phrase from psychologist Carol Dweck, growth mindset, learn it all, not know it all. And he killed stack ranking, dismantled the internal warfare machine, and replaced it with a partnership ethos. He set a mission that sounds almost impossibly broad. Empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Now, where'd this empathy obsession come from? Nadella's talked openly about his late son, Zane, who was born with cerebral palsy. He credits that experience with deepening his capacity for empathy. And he frames empathy not as softness, but as a source of business insight, understanding what people actually need. That became the core of how he leads. It wasn't all clean wins, though. Early on, he had to absorb the Nokia acquisition, a Ballmer-era mobile bet that turned into a painful write-down. He didn't hide from it. He absorbed it publicly. And in 2014, he stumbled hard when he suggested women should trust karma rather than ask for raises. He apologized fast and reversed course, but it was a real bruise. The turning point wasn't one dramatic moment. It was Azure quietly exploding into a giant, validating the entire cloud-first strategy and re-rating the stock into the stratosphere. And then came the move that made old Microsoft's head spin. Nadella stood up and said, "Microsoft loves Linux." The company that once treated open source like a threat to civilization. He put Office on iPhones and Android. He bought LinkedIn for around $26 billion, GitHub for about $7.5 billion, and later Activision Blizzard for $69 billion. He chose reach over control every single time. So let's pull the real lessons out of this. 3 of them. Lesson 1. Culture is strategy. Not the poster on the break room wall, the actual operating system of how your people think. Nadella diagnosed that Microsoft's bottleneck wasn't technology. It was a know-it-all culture eating itself alive. There's an old business school line, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." Nadella lived it. He fixed how people worked with each other before he tried to fix what they built. If you inherit a stalled team, look at the culture before you reorganize the org chart. The smartest people on earth can't win if the system rewards them for knifing each other. Lesson 2. Trade exclusivity for reach. For years, Microsoft's whole identity was defend Windows at all costs. Nadella flipped it. Put your crown jewels everywhere your customers are, even on your rivals' platforms. Why does that work? Network effects and installed base compound way faster with breadth than with defensiveness. The move here is to protect your actual core asset, which for Microsoft was productivity and cloud, not the legacy monopoly you're emotionally attached to. What are you defending out of habit that's actually costing you the market? Lesson 3, and this is the one that's playing out live right now. Bet asymmetrically, but keep your optionality. The OpenAI investment was huge, early, and risky. A multi-billion-dollar bet starting back in 2019 that put Microsoft at the front of the generative AI wave with Copilot baked into everything. But watch what Nadella did when they renegotiated in 2026. He gave up exclusivity, yeah, but he kept IP access through 2032, that reported 27% stake, and he built a multi-model marketplace. Over 10,000 Microsoft customers now use more than one AI model. He structured the bet so he wins across multiple futures, not just one. That's the difference between a gambler and a strategist. A gambler needs one outcome. A strategist gets paid no matter which way the wind blows. Now, I promised you honest, not a fan club. So here's the tension. Microsoft is printing money. Gross margins around 68%. And yet, in 2025, the company cut roughly 15,000 jobs. In 2026, it offered voluntary buyouts to about 7% of its US staff, the first program like that in the company's 51-year history, all while pouring billions into AI data centers. Nadella himself called this the enigma of success in an industry that has no franchise value. Some employees found that pretty tone-deaf. And honestly, it's a fair critique. Record profits and pink slips in the same breath is a hard thing to reconcile. And the AI bet isn't won yet. Copilot has around 15 million paying accounts. ChatGPT has roughly 50 million subscribers. OpenAI is now partnering with Amazon, one of Microsoft's biggest rivals. That $145 billion in capital spending, it has to pay off before investors run out of patience. The empathetic turnaround guy is now making cold, expensive, high-stakes calls. Both things are true at once. So let's land this plane. The big idea. Transformational leadership starts with changing how people think and work, not just what they build. Nadella didn't invent a magic product. He rewired a culture, then let brilliant people do brilliant things. 3 quick things to steal. 1. Before you restructure anything, ask if your real bottleneck is culture, not strategy. 2. Stop defending the thing you're sentimental about. Defend the thing that actually makes you money. 3. When you make a giant bet, engineer it so you win in more than one future. And here's the question I'll leave sitting on your desk. Nadella proved empathy can build trillions in value. The open question now is whether that same empathetic leader can survive the brutal math of the AI era, with his culture and his conscience intact. Thanks for riding along on this one. Seriously, glad you're here. I'm Tripwire, this is Nucleus, and we'll see you on the next one.
Grab news. Thomas.